Because they were ignorant and stupid, they in their ignorance have lost the path of truth. But in reality, at the beginning, all men were treading the path of truth, and it is only on the account of their ignorance that their unity has become split into many parties, firqa. Before the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, and from his time till now, whenever sects strayed from the path, they did so out of ignorance, envy and enmity. On several occasions, Chand Ja, they abandoned the true Imam, following one who was not an Imam. They have become split into many parties. They are still afflicted by the results of that stupidity. They tread the path of Satan and have completely lost the path of the merciful. Every community which persists in following this futile, batil way consists of hypocrites. If anyone amongst them asserts that his way is truth, he is telling lies. Do not let yourselves be deceived by such words. Theirs is the path of ignorant, the hypocrites, and of those who have to go to hell. They were ignorant asses who left the true path and followed untruth. This is not the path of intelligent believers. That path is the path of the Imam. So thou mayest be obedient to the command of the Imam of the time, obeying his orders and command, and remaining obedient to the qudr of thine own span of life. Thou must know the Imam of thy time, know the meaning of the religion. Mani ilm, ask for it from your religious teachers. Alimani deen, attend their lectures. Majlis ilm, ask the teachers what to do, obey them and act as prescribed. Then those who know it will tell you also, guiding you, helping you to attain the desired end, and preventing people from straying away. O believers, O dear ones, O sincere ones, do not be neglectful. Listen with attention. Seek for the path of truth and the word of truth. Accept it with confidence. Asru'i tasdeeq. Do not dispute the words of the truth and verity. Learn the meaning of the word of religion, kalam. Say it and listen to it. O believers, the true believer who becomes perfect in his faith is one who asks genuine teachers who know religion properly about the prescriptions and other matters connected with piety, deen-dari, about the ways of acting, thinking, associating with others, living, working, and behaving suitable to the true believer. They thus acquire such information and act accordingly. Knowledge is first and action is second. Those people who seek for the true path every day become more accustomed to it. O believers, the true believer may suffer violence and hardship for the sake of the hereafter, suffering oppression at the hands of the hypocrites. The true believer appears nobody, humble amongst the hypocrites. Enemies of God cause vexation to the believer, while he bears this with patience, neither becoming aggrieved by molestation nor overjoyed by the show of favor. He must be above the joy and sorrow of this world, because neither is sorrow permanent in this world nor happiness lasting. The true believer is seeking to please the Creator, and many endure privations, vexations, and difficulties, weeping and lamenting, in order to attain the bliss of the hereafter. There are people who, for the sake of the vision, didar, of the Lord Khudawand convey to the Imam their dues, Mali Wajibat, i.e. the tithe of their income, which is the rightful share of the Imam of the time, in full and unfailingly. Others, for the sake of the didar of the Imam, have given up their property, wife, children, and even life, abandoning these. Others again have sold their liberty, sar, children, property and land, spending the money in the way of the Imam, thus being devout to him. Fida Kardad. Others again travelled very long distances for the sake of the didar, by land and sea, passing through storms and incurring great expense, suffering much until they had attained their aim. Others again used to come for the didar from very distant countries, suffering great privations and spending much money, but bringing their dues to the Imam. Others again did acts of piety and benevolence, khair, kawahi, for the sake of the didar. Some people, for the sake of the didar, imposed upon themselves piety, voraciousness, righteousness, outspokenness, sincerity, honesty, and true religiousness, Pakidini. Some, for the sake of the didar, imposed upon themselves special devotion and worship, practicing austerities until they had attained their aim. Others, for the sake of the didar, took upon themselves the practicing of zikr, continually invoking the Lord through the whole of the night, never neglecting to offer it for even a moment, worshipping God out of passion, devotion. Some, for the sake of the didar, gave up their souls and bodies. Others, for the sake of the didar, obeyed the command of the truth. Others, for the sake of the didar, attended the assemblies of the true believers, asking questions of those well versed in religion. Ulama-i Deen, adopting their advice and acting piously. Others, for the sake of didar, helped and rehabilitated the poor belonging to the community, Ahle Tariqa, from their own means. Many spent money for religious causes and in acts of charity for the sake of the didar. Others, for the sake of the didar, gave to the brethren believers shares from their property, helping them in a brotherly way, treating poor believers kindly, generously, and bountifully, extending courteous to them without any ulterior worldly motive, sincerely and not from greed. Others, for the sake of the didar, gladden the hearts of true believers and their devout brothers. O believers, know the importance of the path of the truth, Rai-Hakikat, which is the path towards relief. Whoever proceeds along it will reach the destination, which is the didar. Therefore, try as hard as you can to reach the source of that which you covet, that is, the coming into the presence of the holy Imam. Whosoever tries to achieve the presence of the Imam will be looking for him, and whosoever puts the Imam above all worldly matters, the Imam will choose him from amongst others. Whosoever accepts the Imam will accept him. But whosoever does not accept the Imam, as has been said, will not accept him neither in this world nor in that other one. Whosoever in his sincerity has firm faith, yaqeen, with a pure heart and a pure mind, and will search for the didar of the Imam with that desire, disregarding all other earthly desires, the Imam will give him the chance of the didar. wherever he may find himself in the world. Know also that whenever the heart of the true and devout believer becomes pleased, gladdened, and satisfied, God himself is pleased, because the heart of the believer is the house of God, the place over which the merciful Lord is watching. O believers, O abstinent ones, God abides in the heart of the one who is a true believer, is clean, and has no malice, enmity, or lust for the things of this world. O believers, hearts which are filled with malice, which are defiled by doubt, are straying from the path into darkness. The hearts which contain vile fancies, such hearts are the abode of Satan and of devils. But pure, loving, and clean hearts, which contain no malice and enmity to anyone, or lust for things of this world, those in which there is nothing except the thought of the truth, such hearts are the throne of the merciful and the seat of angels. Therefore, O believers, see God in your own hearts, keeping your hearts well polished, removing rust, dust, doubt, and hypocrisy from the mirror of your hearts by the brush of firm faith, yaqeen, and wash it with the water of religious knowledge, so that you may see God in that mirror of your hearts. If you love God, turn away your hearts from evil-minded traitors, so that they do not make you similar to themselves. God has turned his face from traitors who do not recognize the truth and have lost touch with the Imam of the time. Whoever loves God must turn away from the traitors who have no faith. Just as the true believer loves God, so God loves the true believer and helps him. And whoever loves God, knowing and worshipping him, God guards him against calamities, so that he becomes the most excellent devotee and believer of the time, acting righteously, regarding his God as present at any place, never neglecting his duty, knowing that all his actions, whether hidden or open, are known to the merciful God, also that whatever he does is done in the presence of and before the face of God. His actions, both in his mind and in his ordinary life, his intentions and desires are known to God, down to the minutest detail. If thou dost not see him, God sees thee. One must know for certain that whatever one does, every thought, good or bad, in his heart, no one knows these except God the just. God the All-High is present everywhere and sees all, knowing the quantity and quality of everything. It is thou who art negligent and ignorant. Whoever knows not is not on his guard. He forgets God, and Satan tempts him to do something evil. He thus becomes busy with evil doing in the presence of God, the merciful, either molesting someone or abusing him. In the hereafter he will be exposed. So says God the All-High. A sincere devotee is one who sees me as if present before him. Whatever he is doing and whatever he is feeling, ashamed to do wrong. If an evil thought appears in his mind, or a desire to do wrong, or eat something that is not lawful to him, he must at once appeal to me, and I shall save him from the temptation offered by Satan, or from that evil deed which will be followed by punishment in the hereafter. And I shall cast into his heart the wish to act righteously. He will then act properly, receiving bliss and happiness in the hereafter. His life will pass pleasantly, and death will be pleasant. The true believer must always think of the truth, Haqq, knowing that death is near. He must always think of everything relating to the hereafter, always trying to build up his life after death. He must not be tied down by the thought of comfort in this life, except in so far as it is absolutely necessary for subsistence, food to keep body and soul together. By this, he will be enabled to do acts of piety, perfecting his religious life and not his earthly living. And the true believer must follow the spiritual guide, Peer of his time, sincerely following him. God the All-High said, "Whoever looks upon me as upon his kind elder brother, I shall make him in the hereafter my younger brother, and shall make my didar possible to him, so that he may see my presence." Liqa-e Khud. O believers, realize your own limitations, so that tomorrow, at the resurrection, you may be in line with the true believers and the pious, eating paradisical fruits with the Huris, keeping company with them, or becoming the friends and brothers of your Lord Mawla, while he will be everywhere your refuge. O believers, I have created you in order that you should always be aware of me. This being so, you should not remember anyone except me. In all difficulties, you must appeal to me and ask for my help, not appealing to anyone else or asking from him relief in your need. But you must act with respect, never committing an error, keeping my name in your hearts and on your tongues, so that I may be pleased by you. I have, by the attribute of my mercifulness, brought you from the abyss of non-existence to the brink of being. I have prepared everything for you in order to bring you easily to relief, so that you may obey me, acting in accordance with my orders to you and abstaining from doing what I have prohibited to you, so that you may become like myself, living and eternal. I have granted you wisdom and power. Therefore, it is a benefit to you, not to me, if you obey me, because I am self-sufficient and you are needful. Look, therefore, I am more favorable to you than you yourselves are, showing more kindness to you than you yourselves do. Therefore, if you really are not enemies of yourselves, and if you care for the eternal bliss, remember me. Become familiar with me. No one else can save you from the calamity. He may perhaps even be weaker than yourselves. O believers, whoever wants to see me, Didar Kunad, will find me nearer to himself than his very self. He will find me present. He will see me present everywhere and will think of the settlement of accounts at the judgment day. He must not overlook his own impending death. Whoever will think of me, I shall think of him. O dear ones, listen. You must strive to acquire knowledge in religious wisdom, Ma'rifat-e-ilm, seeking explanations of an expert, Alim. You must look properly in your hearts and mind, Hush, learning the knowledge of the merciful Lord, Ilmi Khudawandi Kareem, from a true teacher, Mu'alim. You must act according to what he says, so that you may attain perfection, acquiring the wealth, phase of this world and of the hereafter. You must carry out the commandments which he conveys to you, carefully paying attention to what the Pir has said concerning the religious wisdom, ilm. This you must attain. The teacher, Mu'allim, helps you to know the Pir and religion, Deen, guiding you to the higher knowledge, Ma'rifat, making you right and steady in what the glorious Imam commands. Act according to what he has ordered and is ordering you to do, and be ready to carry out his orders every moment, so that you may be every moment able to share the bounty. Faiz. O believers, if you wish to attain perfection in the knowledge of God, Khuda Shinasi, attain the degree of Ma'rifatullah, you must accept the commands of the Pir of your time and act according to what he orders you, never disobeying him but continuously following his command until you reach the cognition, Kashf. The Pir is the person to whom the Imam of the time has granted his position, which makes him the highest amongst the creations, Ashrafi Makhlukat. And whenever he, i.e. the Imam, has chosen the Pir and appointed him, he, the Pir, must convey to others the knowledge in detail. Marifat Rabba Tafsili Bi Guyad. You must attain perfection in the knowledge of the Imam through him. But if he, i.e. the Imam, has not appointed a Pir, you must come to know some person from amongst the learned, Sahibani Ilm, whom he, i.e. the Imam, has commissioned to guide and to preach to people, Bazalalat wa Dawat, so that you may attain through the guidance and preaching of such a person, Irshad wa Dawat, the recognition of the Imam, Marifati Imam. Thus, you will not remain in wretchedness, attaining through the illumination of his knowledge, Raushani Ilmi'u, the recognition of the Imam. And whenever there is a Pir, the teachers will take up preaching Dawat by his permission, remaining under his control and order. Therefore, O believers, it is obligatory for you to follow the Pir, never flinching from his obedience. Be bound by what the Pir tells you, acting as he says. The Pir does not demand from you any payment of fees. I give him this instead of you. And when you obey the Pir, if God pleases, in the hereafter will pray to God for your protection. On the day of the resurrection, Qiyamat, the accounts of those who are the first and those who are the last will be left in the hands of our Lord, Maulana Ali. May a remedy be attained on his mention. Allah zikri hish shifa. He will question, Mi juyad wa juya mi shawad, the slaves of God, and interrogate them. He will show kindness to the chosen ones who have been devout, but the rebellious hypocrites will remain in the middle of the plain of resurrection, in the glare and heat, in distress, humiliated and ashamed, groaning and weeping on the way, each being worried about himself. But everyone who has been obedient to the Pir will stand on that terrible day in the shadow, i.e. under the protection of the Pir of his time. The day of the resurrection is the day of the 1,000-eyed ones and of the showing of the dowry. Whoever has good stock makes a display of it on the market of the resurrection, finding God to be his customer. Thus now that thou hast comprehended this, and hast become aware, understanding who is thy customer, then take proper care to have ready good merchandise and precious things which will be really valuable of high cost. What are these? A pure spirit, a clean heart, and love for the Imam of the time, complete recognition of him, the readiness to sacrifice oneself for his sake, accompanied by fear of his anger, the desire to please him, and the search for ways of being agreeable to him. O believers, on the day of the resurrection, except for the perfect Peer, all other Peers, Meers, and brothers will stand trembling, not one being able to utter a word of intercession. But your real Peer, who helped you in this world, will also become your helper and protector in the hereafter. Therefore do not give up following him, as you belong to that world and must enjoy it and rejoice there. Therefore do not be bound in this world by rejoicing, enjoyment of power, position, rank, or respect. With every day you must keep on intensifying your love and service to one another, to your Peer and your Imam, never remaining dependent on this world which is transient and without real substance and worth. Do not be polluted by it, because it will cast you into indifference. When this happens, you fall into disputes and quarrels with each other till death. Then you will taste frustration, shame, and remorse. Thus nothing will help in the hereafter except that you live in such a way as to please the Imam of your time, serving him, or spending money in his cause so far as you can, because if you spend it for your own sake or amass it, you will never see it again, and this will become your punishment. But what you give for the sake of your Lord Mawla will remain to your credit in the hereafter. It will be like grains of wheat. That which has been consumed is lost, but the grain which has been thrown into the field survives. In the same way, in the hereafter, your Peer will be of use, serving your need. Whoever does not obey the Peer of his time, and does not listen to his words, he will both in this world and that be in misery, be depressed and worried. Thus it has been explained that you should not give up following him, because he will surely guide you to the recognition of the Imam. If you desire to keep your hearts fresh and alive with affection and love for the truth, Haqq, if you wish that love for the Lord Khudawand should become rooted in your hearts, making you long for the vision, Liqa, of your Creator, longing for the Didar, then take your hearts away from all that is not truth, and turn your faces towards your Lord Khudawand, appealing to the Creator and the Peer, or spiritual guide, giving up frivolous and absurd thinking, throwing love for this world out of your hearts completely. Then love for your heart, Khudawand, will at once become strong in your hearts, making ardent your longing. Take refuge with God from the ignorant and hypocritical people who have turned their faces from the abode of the Imam of the time and the true Peer, from those who do not recognize the Imam of the time. They will be ruined, stranded, humiliated, aggrieved, and annihilated. The one who is confounded and doubtful about the recognition of the Imam and the Peer will be deprived from the Didar of the Imam of the time, and will be distressed, worried, humiliated, and aggrieved. He will be burnt by the fire of hell and will remain in darkness. Whoever in this world has no spiritual authority over him will be like a body without a head, which is like a corpse. That which is not the head must be the tail. Similarly, the people whose leader is not the Imam of the time are carrion and corpses, being a peril to the other, mutually opposing one another. Just as in carrion worms and putrefaction set in, so in the community which has no spiritual authority over it, strife, evil acts, and depravity occur, causing distress to the people. Some people appeal to God while they have no knowledge of the Imam of their time or oppose him. They should enter the ark of Noah of the time, because all other ships will be drowned. Therefore, follow the spiritual authority and your leader, so that you may sit in the house of the truth, entering the ark of Noah of your time and reaching the land safely. That authority, that Noah of your time, is the Imam of your time. Shah Abdus Salam Shah. Know him and enter the ark of Noah, i.e., the path of his preaching. Tariqa-e-Dawati-u, so that your faith may become perfect and your souls may become safe from the calamities. The house which has no windows or openings remains dark. Similarly, the heart of one who does not know the Imam of his time, who is the son of that period, remains dark without light and enlightenment. It always remains in the darkness of irritation and enmity. Darkness causes one suffering and to stray from the path, becoming lost. Therefore, the one who does not know the Imam of the time, Hazir, and regards him as absent, Gaib, from the world, is erring, alien to the community and an enemy. People like these, owing to the absence of spiritual guidance, become split into sects, continually struggling, quarreling, and opposing each other. They are at war with every other community until at last they perish. Whoever has strayed from the right path will not reach his destination, whether he walks or remains standing. If you show him the true path, he will not believe you, remaining in doubt and uncertainty. He is repudiated. Such people cannot realize their position, thinking that only they are on the right path and all others are in the dark, erring. They do not know that the path of the truth is that which belongs to the living Imam, Nagmah-yi, and the religion, Deen, which is his. Similarly, at the time of the prophets, whoever found the path of the prophet of the time was saved, while those who kept to the old law, Shariat, and did not follow the prophet of their time, remain in sin and error, no matter how righteously they were acting in accordance with the injunctions of that law given by God and the decisions, fatawi, of the prophets of the earlier periods. But now it is the period of the imamat, Dawre Walayat. If a man does not recognize the Imam, Wali, of his time, does not accept him as such, treats his orders as already contained in the plain commandments of the Shariat, ascertains from the ordinary theologians, Ulama-yi Zahir, the indications, Ma'ni, of the Quran and the various hadiths concerning the institution of imamat, and if he acts according to the theologian's opinion, all his pious acts will be fruitless and his troubles useless. He will finally go to hell. This is because the correct meaning of the Quran and the Hadith is only with the Imam. The Prophet, peace be upon him, himself said that whoever accepted his progeny, Itrat, and the Book of God as his guidance would never be lost. The expression, my progeny, refers to the Imam according to the words of the Quran, Surah 3, Ayah 30. My progeny, one following the other. But the Imam can only be recognized with the help of another Imam, being the person whom the Imam appoints to that office from amongst his own progeny, Zuriyat. Only he will be the Imam, no one else. Ordinary mortals, Makhluk, cannot appoint anyone as their Imam. Whomever the Imam selects for the transfer of the light of Imamat from amongst his own sons and confers upon him by the indication, Nas, the mysteries of Imamat, that person only is the Imam and a member of the dynasty. His other sons will be ordinary people who deserve salvation, Ahle Najat, if they obey him and serve him. Therefore follow the Imam in order that you may be connected with him, i.e. the Imams, one generation after another. If others have no connection with the Imam, this is because they oppose him, adopting a hostile attitude towards him, and the Imam concealed himself from them, while they began to follow the ordinary theologians. This is why they err. Thus they have remained under the control of those ordinary theologians, ulama-i zahir, worshipping and exercising piety blindly, taqleed, according to what they have been ordered, because that piety based on customary practice, amali taqleedi, was the religion of their parents, just as at the time of idolatry before Islam. The learned, however, know that the world cannot be without an Imam, even for a moment, because if it is, the earth with its population will instantly perish. But the carving for position and importance in the community compels them to conceal this and outwardly deny this. Surely that strife which they had with various prophets and saints was due to his desire to preserve the position of respect. O believers, it is astonishing to see how one has no connection with the Imam yet laughs and rejoices. But it is still more astonishing when one rejects the Imam of the time and adopts a hostile attitude towards him. He is like a child playing on the edge of the dam of a watermill, or on the roof of a house, or with a snake in his hand. Do you see such inopportune laughter or untimely and out of place rejoicing among the ordinary people? It is bound to become the cause of their calamity, their punishment and sorrow. O believers, O sincere ones, smile only then when you are saved from the calamities and perils, when you are out of the whirlpool on the dry land, when you are safely back from the journey. It means then that joy will be attained when you arrive at the recognition of the Imam of the time, becoming his faithful and obedient slaves, and not being even for a moment disobedient or forgetful of him. You will then become enlightened by his recognition, and it is this time which will be appropriate for joy and merriment. Therefore be afraid of that laughter which is raised by silly trivial matters like children's play, because that laughter is the image of Satan. It is the action of those who have no real faith. It humiliates the one who laughs, makes him in the eyes of the people humiliated and deprived of dignity, devoid of honor and importance. Laughter comes from indifference, and the latter comes from stupidity. Unless one is foolish, He can see that laughter is not proper in the presence of princesses, rulers, and honorable persons. Then why should he indulge in laughter in the presence of the merciful God, or do any other form of impolite action, utter abuse, or do any other vile thing? He will be punished both in this world and in the hereafter. O believers, be righteous in speaking, behaving, and acting. Never tell lies, utter nonsense, or say anything inappropriate. Taciturn. Do not begin speaking without being asked. Always follow the truth, never deviate from it. Always listen to what the Imam, Hazrat-e-Khudawan, or the Pir says and act accordingly. And if you want mercy from the True One, the All-High, then be ready to do the right. Kari Haq. Think sincerely, wishing to be pious, because the time will come when you will have to stand before the justice of the truth, God. And the time of the harvest is coming, when everyone will collect what he has sown, everyone receiving retribution for his actions. Therefore, do not forget the accounts of the hereafter. However, the majority of human actions are such as have been described and will be punished. Evil comes from three sources, which, except for the first one, affect either property or life or faith. Therefore, take the greatest care to avoid it, because evil is strong and itself becomes the cause of a single great evil. And the true believer must be like the sea, which does not change if it is deprived of a little or added to a little. It does not change from dirty water to any refuse being poured into it, neither in color, nor in nature, nor in smell. Therefore the true believer does not change if his property becomes a little less or more, or if someone does something against him, or utters abuse, or robs him, or treats him harshly, or speaks evil things of him. His heart is at rest with his Lord, Mawla-e-Khud. Things ugly or pretty are as one to him, and the true believer does not become either infuriated or irritated. He must mortify his sensuality or irritation, and it is for this reason that the true believer never utters abuse. The true believer must not use strong words or foul language, treat people harshly, or act wrongly. He must not commit an evil action, should not be mean, bakhil. He must not forget of the Imam of his time, always obeying his orders and seeking to please him. The true believer must not slander anyone, must not betray the trust of other men's property or wives, making designs on these. He must possess a sense of legality, quwwati namusiya. Therefore, O believers, be afraid of evil speaking, because evil deprives one of faith, destroys faith in the people, dooming them to hell and humiliation. O believers, within the man whose temper is irritable, the fire of wrath spreads sparks when he becomes heated by a fit of anger. Owing to that irritability and in that excitement, when it appears, are burned the fruits of his faith, pious actions, his reward for them, worship, purity of heart, decency, understanding, and intelligence. Then the fire of sensuousness flares up in him, causing him to feel the desire for tasty foods, causing him to make designs upon the property, position, rank, and wives of others, making him wish to eat and dress well under the influence of the fire of greed. This is hell. It will reduce thee to nothingness, throwing thee headlong into the pit. Control as much as you can the forces of irritability and sensuousness, so that they may not shake you in your position, will not throw you out of balance, stirring up and causing change in yourself, in your original nature. This is because as soon as man has been brought out of the normal human state, he becomes a brute without faith. O believer, O dear ones, the real believer, for the sake of the hereafter, changes his evil ways for right ways, preserving in them. The real believer serves his brother believer for the sake of the hereafter. There were in the past those who were doing this of their own accord, who took up the service of the enlightened peers. Pirani Roshandil, those who used to ask questions from the teachers concerning the matters of the truth, Sukhan-ha-ye haq, and acted according to what was said to them. Some people, for the sake of the hereafter and for the sake of the didar of the Imam of their time, have given up royal thrones. This is the decision of wisdom, because it is due to profound wisdom when one gives up for this something transient as royal authority or high position. Some give up worldly authority for the sake of the didar of the Imam, thus acquiring eternal authority. But how numerous is the filthy rabble who give up the didar of the Imam, running after position, thus abandoning light for darkness, or water in order to get into fire. The good ones used to give up their relatives and their people for the sake of the didar. Others similarly gave up their properties, estates, families, position and respect. Others again for the sake of the didar and out of love for the Imam of the time used to walk long distances, making their feet sore. Others for the sake of the hereafter served their spiritual brothers at their assemblies. Good ones sat in the assemblies of the believers for the sake of making their faith perfect, occupying themselves with worship and acts of piety, or asking of their teachers questions concerning the true knowledge, ilmi hakiki, and memorizing it. They used to learn it, sitting and listening to their teachers and memorizing what they said, acting piously according to their instruction, being full of love for the religion of the truth, Deen-i Haq. O believers, be all in love with the pure religion of the Imam. Be ready to comprehend the meaning of his word and knowledge, ilm, never neglecting your own progress. And O believers, bearers of true faith, keep until the last. O believers, bearers of true faith, keep until the last the secrets of your Lord, Hazrati Khudawandi Khud, so that the unworthy shall not penetrate these. One must not discuss his personal matters with strangers while traveling. God told the Prophet to conceal the mysteries of the true religion, Asrar-e Hakikat, from the ignorant people of his time. This is especially because the people of Persia have reached the limits of ignorance by never ascertaining the truth of a statement from an impartial source. Their way is to start strife, advertise themselves, molest people or scandalize them, abuse, slander, and bring them under suspicion, mocking them, or trying to seize their property. O truly faithful believers, Maulana Shah Mustansir Bila says, "Do not mention myself and the name of your Imam Shah Abdus Salam Shah in the presence of the ignorant and unbelieving people who have an innate hatred for the prophetship and imamat. You must, however, appeal to him in your heart and with your tongues. Conceal my whereabouts from the irreligious people of today, Ghair Deeni Zamana, so that you may for this attain the perfect reward and a righteous life. God the Bountiful will be pleased by you, the people of sincere faith. Ikhlas Kishan, and your hearts will be enlightened, shining, and full of joy." O believers, the truly religious man, Dindari Hakiki, is one who wants to attain salvation in the hereafter. But he must help his really religious brother if he wants to be saved. The real believer is one who assists and helps his brother in religion, who shares with him his food, his sorrow and joy, never admitting into his heart any malice or enmity, being one with him in word and deed. If one satisfies his hunger, the other's hunger must also be satisfied. If one remains hungry, the other should remain hungry too. If one eats something, the other should also partake of everything that his friend has eaten. They will be united in this world, and in the hereafter they will also appear together before the Lord. Whoever is real man must be united with his spiritual brother. The human spirit is unifying, and the spirit of the animal is dividing. From it comes the principle of opposition. The animal spirit derives its life from food. When the latter is not supplied to it, it dies. But the human spirit is kept alive by the recognition of the Imam and love for the followers of the truth, Ali Haq, and if both these do not exist, it perishes. Therefore, O believers, if you want to be alive in both worlds, perfect your faith, because only by the light of faith may you attain eternal life. And faith comes from and is perfected by the recognition and knowledge, Marifat was shinakat of the Imam of the time, and obedience and love for his followers. Therefore, follow your Imam and be happy and united with each other amongst yourselves, in order that you may be alive in both worlds, and in the hereafter you may become resurrected with the pious, with prophets and saints, in the presence of the Imam, with the greatest joy at meeting each other again. But those who oppose the Imam and his followers do not feel one with the Imam's friends. They will become subjected in the hereafter to the hardest punishment, despairing of their state and not seeing anyone to help them, either from amongst their own people or strangers. Thus the believers will, in the hereafter, see all, both their relatives and strangers, but the enemies of the Imam, who are the traitors and haters of the path of the truth, will be tortured by their own worries and by punishment and retribution of their actions. Therefore, O believers, the matters of the hereafter are settled in this world, whether they are to be good or bad. Therefore, let your hearts be pure and united in this world. Be united in your hearts with each other, so that tomorrow at the resurrection, in the presence filled with the pure light of the Imam of the time, the absolute Lord, you may occupy a place near the throne of the Lord, uniting with one another, filled with perfect joy and happiness. O believers, do not be ashamed to serve each other. Do not make a fuss about humiliation and respectability, because otherwise you will be deprived of the wealth granted by God. Be in touch with each other. Visit each other's houses. But if you must not think of entertainment just like the traitors who mock each other in selfishness. Just on the contrary, you must wish to offer your food to your friend while he should be ready to offer you his. Try to keep this attitude as long as you can and give priority to the needs of your spiritual brother over your own. Always, in no matter what circumstances, be at ease when your brother is at ease. If your own case has been favorable, decided while that of your spiritual brother remains in suspense, you must not feel peace of mind, just as if it were your own affair, which was still to come up for decision. But if his case has been favorable, settled, or if he had made greater profit or sold more at a greater price, be more happy at this than with regard to your own affairs. And if he makes a profit, it should be as if you have made a profit. Such relations will bring you every blessing, well-being, and happiness, while your hearts will every day be more and more filled with light. Your happiness will grow and your faith will become more perfect. If, however, you give priority to your consideration to your own affairs, thinking only of increasing your own benefit, or if you regard as lawful to benefit yourselves by another's food or property in general, doing this deliberately, thus enlarging your own possession, then surely well-being and blessing will depart from your property, and you will not attain the mercy of the Lord. When you are friendly with your spiritual brothers, wishing them good one with the other, God will then be pleased and satisfied with you, and you will see nothing evil. But if you remain mutually hostile and wish ill to each other, God will disregard you all. And if some evil springs from one side, that offending side will be punished and humiliated for its wickedness. O brothers, O dear ones, if one does not sow grain, one will not reap a harvest. Only what you have sown can grow. Therefore, sow good grains, that is, good actions, so that in the hereafter you may collect a good harvest. Whatever you spend in this world is wasted, but what you give in the way of the truth will help you in your hereafter. Whatever you give in the way of your Lord, Mawla, every 100 in this world will return as 1,000 in the hereafter. Therefore there is no better form of agriculture, no trade, than when you with full sincerity invest your lawful property in the way of your Lord, Mawla-i Khud. And there is no greater wealth than when you attach yourself to the Imam of the time. There is no higher form of worship than when you are continually remembering the Imam of your time. How great is the happiness of the one who can do such things and becomes benefited by that eternal bounty which becomes his lot. Those whose heart and word do not differ one from the other attain a favorable place near the Lord Khudawand, but those who are not like this will never get anywhere. The true believer is one whose heart and word are one. The true believer is one who always occupies himself with the mention, zikr of the Lord Khudawand, whose heart is full of love, and whose tongue is busy with glorification of the Creator. Khudawandgar. He will hear the instructions given to those who tread the path of truth, will act accordingly, and will admonish his friends, thus acting righteously himself first, and later on inducing others to do so. Man attains the recognition of his Creator when he acquires knowledge of himself. First, you must acquire the knowledge of your own body, limb by limb. You should realize that it has not come into existence by itself, but has been created by someone else. Then you should reflect, who is this who has created me? For what purpose? Where is he going to take me? Then you will see that if your body maintains a state of balance in its elements, it will be free from disease. Otherwise, its condition will be upset. He must then abstain from unsuitable foods. He may thus infer that if one abstains from excesses and in everything observes a proper measure, not deviating from it to either side, and if he purifies his moral self, whenever he discovers in himself the properties of brutes and beasts, then he acquires human properties and purifies himself. And when his heart has become pure, and doubt and dishonesty leave his mind, when he acquires certainty in the recognition of the Imam of his time, seeing him as everywhere present before him, looking upon him, he then reaches the stage of self-evident certainty, ilmul yaqeen, and attains the stage of absolute truth, haqqul yaqeen, when his heart becomes enlightened by the absolute light, and in that light he begins to see his soul, Jan. Thereafter he begins to see with absolute self-evidence the place in which his Creator is. All this is attainable only if thou acts in according with the instruction of the Pir and spiritual guide, becoming the follower of a person who has trodden the path of the truth. The guide is one who does not recognize any other road except that of the Imam, who is sincere in guiding others along the path of Hakikat, who knows it and who has become free from vices, mujarrad, ceasing to show disobedience or to question the acts of his Imam or Pir or teacher. This is because the great men and teachers, Buzurgan wa Mukbiran, of the religion of the Imam, i.e. the Hujjats, Da'is, and the teachers, Mu'alliman, of the true path, are like doctors and sages, instructors and specialists, or kind advisors or nurses, while other people are like patients or children. Patients and children must obey the doctor or the instructor, as this is to their best advantage. If they oppose or refuse to comply with prescriptions, they will suffer much, and in the end will be very sad that they did so. Therefore, it is necessary that the disciple, Salik, should obey his instructor if he wants to reach his destination safely. Therefore, those who want to show us their love to us must be truthful in their word, never uttering a lie. They must not slander anyone, must look upon everyone with clean eyes, never coveting what is unlawful to them, nor envying and coveting other people's property. Their heart must remain pure and must not contain any lust for the wealth of this world, position or rank or tasty foods. They must be truthful in their action, clean in their speech, and must never desire to profit by what is not legitimately theirs, as for instance by failing to pay the tithe which due to the Imam of the time, or usurping the property of an orphan. Such actions will pollute their mouths. They must be taciturn, keep their minds free from the preoccupation with trivial worldly matters, and must concentrate their thought on the Imam of the time. No desire must live in their hearts or carry weight in their eyes except the thought of the Didar of the Imam. Nothing in this life or in the hereafter should captivate their fancy except for the thought of the vision, liqa, of the Imam, and of the pleasing him. They must walk righteously along the path of the truth, never strain from it to what is forbidden. They keep themselves pure and well under self-control. This means that in their advance towards the Imam they should not attach themselves to anything. This is because all that is not connected with the Imam, whether it belongs to the material world or not, whether it is attractive or not, is really a calamity like fire. Just as you flee to a safe place from beasts which bite or tear, or just as you take precautions against a calamity, in the same way you must be on guard against the temptations of this life and the world at large, taking refuge with its Master, who will give you safe asylum and a reliable place of rest. Therefore, O believers, the true believer is one who keeps his face turned away from disobedience, remaining obedient to the orders of the true king, Shahi Hakiki. He progresses towards the truth, carrying out the instructions of the Pir, just as the Pir himself carries out the orders of the Lord Mawla. And just as the Pir obeys the order of the Imam, never exceeding his orders, so must the teachers Mu'allimun obey the orders of the Pir, never transgressing them until they attain their aim. The believers, Mu'minan, must similarly obey the orders of their teachers, never transgressing them and learning from them to recognize Ma'rifat, the Imam, to obey the commandments of the religion and to carry them out until they reach their goal. Therefore accept wholeheartedly, Bajan, whatever the spiritual guide Murshid teaches you, when he gives his advice, religious instructions and admonition. This will bring you in truth and righteous to the truth, Hakikat, and to recognize of the Imam of the time, Imam-e-Hazir. You must be thankful for this, because it is valuable for the traveler on his road to have a guide, a candle and a light, so that he may ultimately reach his home safely and without suffering. Thus the believer will become intelligent and discriminating, Ali-Jazirai, in every matter and transaction, distinguishing defective goods from those which have no defect and the genuine from the counterfeit. He will thus permit no one to cheat him. He will buy that which is genuine without blemish. Therefore the knowledge of the sincere Sadiq teacher, i.e. the perfect spiritual guide, Murshid, who is well informed, leads thee from the path of evil to the right path, and brings thee out of the pit of error, leading thee from the desert of death to the place of habitation, or from the sea of depravity to the shores of salvation, from the perilous place and from the claws of the wild beasts, devils, rapacious brutes and biting serpents to a safe place, which is the recognition shinakt of the Imam. O believers, whenever anyone mocks you or makes a joke, ridiculing you, and when others who are present laugh, all of them are devils. O believers, listen and take note of speech that is true, except in friendship, the commandment of the truth. Listen to the words of the true knowledge, ilmi hakiki, and treasure them in your hearts. People in their willfulness and carving to please themselves, and in the absence of spiritual instruction, ta'limi, have strayed from the right path. They have remained behind because of their habit of talking, lying, and accepting their beliefs second-hand, unconscious of what this leads to. They become proud of such meaningless knowledge of their authority and their wealth in this world. But on the day of resurrection, the scorching sun will rise on them, and they will experience great difficulties in settling their accounts. Such ignorant people have no religious knowledge. By relying on second-hand information, taqleed, they have all become lost. Their reins are in the hands of predatory monsters who drive all of them from the path of the truth. All are drowned in the sea of depravity, but are unconscious of this. They have become split into parties and are unconscious of being wrong. They do not know where all this will lead them to, but are indifferent to this. But after that they will know, by which time it will be of no use to them. They will have nothing left to them except of regret and sorrow. The true believers must be aware in this world of the resurrection and of the ultimate end of their affairs. The ignorant, like their leaders, resemble aged bullocks whom the butcher is going to slaughter, but they are unconscious of this. Therefore take great care not to follow the people who merely rely on tradition, al-taqleed. Do not follow those unjust teachers who are ordinary theologians, ulama-i zahiri. They deny the existence of the Imam, the way to him which must be found, and the benefit of the blessing of reaching the presence of the Imam of the time. If anyone says that the Imam is living and exists, and that one must strive to find a way to him, they declare that unfortunate teacher to be a kafir, unbeliever, and issue a document certifying his heretism, sandaka, according to which he is to be stoned to death. They say that the Imam is concealed, dar gaib, and will appear when God wills. They say that if anyone foretells the date on which he will appear, he is telling lies. Pray for God's help against such interested theologians. What a good business they have built up for themselves. What good water they have brought about for themselves, silencing other people by threatening to declare what they say to be kafir, impiety. They have appointed an ignorant common fellow as their peer, while the pure-minded one who has become aware of the existence of the real Imam does not dare to say anything for fear of these greedy villains who are after their own interests. During every period of history, such people carving for authority have persecuted and fought the Imams of the time, wishing to extinguish the light of God. But they had no power to achieve this. Having failed in this, they have resorted to intrigues and lies, teaching that the Imam is concealed, gaib shuda. They stone to death all those who say that the Imam is present, issuing a fatwa to this effect. In their books, they write that the Imam will say this or that at the end of the time, and the people for this reason have ceased to seek for the way to the Imam. The ignorant believe this lie, thus depriving themselves of the benefit of the didar of the Imam of their time. In fact, the Imam is as apparent in the world as the sun, but they show enmity to the Imam himself while professing to expect his manifestation. Thus they are wasting their lives in carrying out the orders of their theologians, ulama-i zahir, and relying on traditional ideas in religion, taqleed. They will be deprived of the didar of the Imam even in the hereafter. O believers, O sincere ones, offer thanks of having been benefited by this wealth, by the happiness and good fortune, which is here given to you before they have laid their hands on you. But be aware of them and keep secret my mystery from those unworthy ones, from those devils in human form, fearing lest they attack you or cause you to be dragged into the darkness of misfortune, just as they have been dragged themselves. O believers, proceed along the way of God, being generous and lavish on it. Weep and deplore your sins, be obedient and appreciate this treasure, being careful not to lose it. One has to take great care of the jewel. As you can see, one who has valuable goods guards them with so much care. But there is nothing more precious than the true religion, Deen-e-Haq, and the knowledge of the Imam of the time. Follow your Peer in order to earn salvation from the storms and to make the hand of Satan powerless against you. Abstain from misappropriating anything so that your hearts may not be humiliated. Those whose hearts have lost enthusiasm and become tired of uttering the zikr, either from indifference or laziness, come to this because of their misappropriation of what is unlawful or by not paying their religious dues. Therefore, you must pay your religious dues, ma'al wajibat, and follow the orders of the Imam. Do evil to no one, be benevolent with everyone, help others and encourage them to act righteously, benevolently and modestly, so that your hearts may become pure, and so that in the zikr of your Lord, Mawla, all your difficulties may be solved. O believers, whoever retains the Shah's tax and does not put it aside, thus taking away the Shah's income and enjoying his life, he becomes a malefactor and evildoer. His heart becomes blackened, and he will ultimately become an inmate of hell. O believers, realize this and do not miss the point, which is a very serious and important one. Even with great difficulty, it cannot be settled by force. It depends on the inner batini feeling of satisfaction. Misappropriation of the religious dues ultimately destroys one. The tithe implies many high points and numberless tests for the donor. If one does not give it, he courts numberless misfortunes and calamities. It is an extremely serious matter. Do not take it lightly. It is a heavy burden. Both the one who gives it and who receives it must deliver it honestly and in full to the abode of the Lord, Maulana. O believers, beware of making a mistake, because in this matter one has to tread a very narrow path. It is a precious, Hasan treasure, Ni'mat, which cannot be acquired easily. And if this ordinary Zahiri wealth is earned with much difficulty, how can one expect to earn easily a spiritual Batini treasure? Therefore one has to give his life, Jaan, for that spiritual wealth which is the recognition of the Imam. Therefore realize fully the worth of this boundless wealth and offer thanks to your Lord Mawla for having granted it to you, bestowing upon you his recognition. Otherwise, how could you have found the way to the Imam amidst all these devils, these calamities and misfortune, all these robberies? Have not they raised high walls to cause the unfortunate and ignorant people neglect their obligations? They have bound the unfortunate and ignorant man in such a way that he has remained helpless, bewildered and despairing, with his heart full of distress. They may bury it, the tithe monies, in the earth, but these dupes will never see the Imam. Be sensible, I am showing you a good path. I have told you of all the matters which will lead you to salvation, securing for you peace in the hereafter, and benefit in this world and that. I have explained all this to you in such words as are suitable to your reason, degree of education and intelligence. I have not omitted anything of what is within your powers to carry out, admonishing you to follow, thus showing you the straight path, which is the Sirati Mustaqim. Then carry on, striving to earn the pleasure of the Imam of the time, who is as much in evidence as the sun. Purify your hearts and eyes of boasting, dissembling, and evil ways of the time, so that you may witness the light of the Imam and accept his lieutenant, who is his wasi, executor of his will, and a relative of the Imam, ceasing to argue on that point as against those who did so before, when they gave up the real Imam and accepted a wrong person as an Imam. They ultimately remained with nothing. At the time of my great ancestor, Shah Hussain, some followers gave him up and accepted Muhammad ibn Hanifiya. At the time of Shah Zainul Abidin, some gave up the real Imam and accepted Zayd as an Imam. At the time of my ancestor Shah Jafar as-Sadiq, some followers gave up the real Imam, following Musa Kazim. Some followed Abdullah. Similarly, at the time of my ancestor Shah Mustansir Billah, some gave up the real Imam and followed Musta Ali. All of them have ultimately come to grief and have been deprived of the didar of the Imam. All this was a result of their indifference and on account of much of their discussions. They did not purify their minds and hearts and did not understand the importance of the matters with which they had to deal. This is why good fortune, Ni'mat, abandoned them. Events for them was such that these accidents occurred, and the voice of Satan spread amongst them the news that the Imam had disappeared. Thus it was due to thankfulness that their good fortune came to an end. Do they therefore realize the importance of this? Suspend all that which has been said here like jewels of the earrings in your ears, and preserve in what the Pir commands you, or act according to the bidding of your teacher. Obey the Imam of the time, Hazir Jama, who is the treasure of the time. This is obligatory in both law and logic. These are the admonitions, Pandiyat, of Maulana Mustansibila, which were uttered by him in the assemblies and conversations which he held with his community while preaching and explaining to them religion. He repeatedly admonished the community, his well-wishers, and the disciples, Taliban. Whatever this humble slave heard, he memorized it and kept it preserved in his memory until it was committed to writing, so that, if God please, it may remain for the use of future readers who may at any time read it or listen, making it read for them, and act according to the commandments, so that they may become the people who have attained salvation, just as have those before them. By the help of God, the King, the Benign, peace be upon him, the end of the greater Pandiyat.